I'm standing in front of a rusty barn in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, holding a key I've carried in my purse for 20 years. A key I thought was worthless. A key that was supposed to represent everything my parents didn't leave me. No family, no money, no house, no future. Just a piece of metal attached to a faded tag that says, Farm Route 6, Miller County. My husband Ben is behind me with our 2 kids, and they're asking why we drove 3 hours to look at an abandoned farm that's about to be taken by the county for unpaid taxes. I don't have a good answer, except that this key is the only thing my parents ever gave me. And I'm about to find out it gave me everything. My name is Monica Wright. I'm 38 years old, and this is the story of how a rusty tractor key changed my life. Have you ever kept something that seemed worthless, just because it reminded you of someone you lost? What was it? Share in the comments below. It's May 15th, 2003. I'm 18 years old, standing in the office of St. Mary's Orphanage in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The same orphanage I've lived in since I was 6 months old. The same narrow hallways, the same smell of institutional cleaning products mixed with cafeteria food, the same beige walls that have been my entire world for as long as I can remember. Sister Kathleen sits behind her desk. She's been the director here for 30 years. Kind eyes, tired smile. She's seen hundreds of kids come and go. I'm just another one aging out of the system. Monica, she says gently. You're 18 now. You know what that means. I know. It means I'm done. No more state support, no more room and board, no more safety net. I'm an adult, whether I'm ready or not. I have $247 in savings from my part-time job at the grocery store, a high school diploma, a duffel bag with everything I own, and absolutely no idea what happens next. Sister Kathleen slides a small cardboard box across the desk. Before you go, there's something I need to give you. This is what your parents left. It's been in our safe since you arrived. My heart skips. In 18 years, no one has ever mentioned my parents leaving me anything. I open the box with shaking hands. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, is a single key. Large, iron, rusty, attached to a cracked leather tag with faded writing. Farm Route 6, Miller County. That's it. No letter, no photograph, no explanation. What is this? I ask. Sister Kathleen looks uncomfortable. That's all the information we have. Your parents, James and Laura Wright, died in a house fire when you were 6 months old, as you know. This key was found in a lockbox that survived the farm fire. The key has been here ever since. A farm? I always thought it was a regular townhouse. They owned a farm? We don't know. There's no record of them owning property at the time of their death. This might just be a key to something that doesn't exist anymore. I stare at the key. Heavy, cold, useless. That's it? That's all they left me? Sister Kathleen's expression is pained. I'm sorry, Monica. I wish there was more. I put the key back in the box. Put the box in my duffel bag. Walk out of St. Mary's Orphanage into the May sunshine with everything I own on my shoulder and a useless key as my only inheritance. 20 years later, May 2023, and I'm a completely different person, at least on paper. I'm 38 years old, married to Ben Watson, a good man who teaches math at the same high school where I teach history. We have 2 kids, Jack, 10 years old, obsessed with baseball and video games, and Hannah, 8 years old, who wants to be a veterinarian and brings home every stray animal she finds. We live in a small 3-bedroom house in Des Moines. We're not rich. Teachers' salaries don't make you rich. But we're stable. We're happy. We have dinner together every night. We go to Jack's baseball games and Hannah's piano recitals. We're the normal, boring family I never had growing up. But that key, that rusty tractor key from 1985, has sat in my nightstand drawer for 20 years. I've moved 4 times since leaving St. Mary's. Shared apartments with roommates when I was a waitress. A tiny studio when I was in community college. The apartment Ben and I rented when we first got married. And now this house. Every time I moved, I thought about throwing the key away. It was worthless. A reminder of parents I never knew and a farm that probably didn't exist. But I never did throw it away. I'd hold it sometimes late at night when Ben was asleep and the kids were quiet. Run my thumb over the rust. Wonder who James and Laura Wright were. What they looked like. If they would have been good parents. If they would have loved me. The key was the only proof I had that I came from somewhere. That someone, once, had owned something. Even if that something was gone. The letter arrives on May 18th, 2023. 20 years and 3 days after I left the orphanage. I'm grading essays at the kitchen table when Ben brings in the mail. "You got something from a law firm," he says, handing me an envelope. "Miller County Attorney's Office. Miller County. The name on the key tag." I open it with shaking hands. "Dear Ms. Wright, this letter serves as official notice that the property located at 1247 Highway 6, Miller County, Iowa, registered under the names James Robert Wright and Laura Ann Wright, deceased, is subject to seizure for unpaid property taxes in the amount of $47,319.50. County records indicate you are the sole heir to this property. If you wish to claim ownership and settle the outstanding tax debt, you must contact this office within 30 days of this letter's date. Failure to respond will result in the property being sold at public auction to recover the debt. Sincerely, Robert Mitchell, Miller County Attorney. I read it 3 times. Ben reads it over my shoulder. "Wait," he says. "Your parents owned property? An actual farm?" "I don't know. I thought..." "Sister Kathleen said there was no record. She said the farm probably didn't exist anymore." "Well, apparently it does exist. And apparently the county wants $47,000 in back taxes." I laugh. It comes out bitter. "Of course. The one thing my parents left me, and it's a debt I can't pay." Ben sits down across from me. "Monica, you have a farm. Your parents left you an actual farm." "A farm I can't afford to keep. We don't have $47,000, Ben. We have a mortgage and 2 kids. We're not paying off 20 years of someone else's tax debt." "But don't you want to at least see it? Before the county takes it?" I think about the key in my nightstand drawer. The key I've carried for 20 years. "Yeah," I say quietly. "I want to see it." We drive to Miller County the following Saturday. It's a 2.5-hour drive southeast from Des Moines. Ben driving, Jack in the back seat with his Nintendo Switch. Hannah reading a book about horses. Miller County is rural Iowa at its most rural. Endless fields of corn and soybeans. Small towns with populations under 500. Grain elevators and farm equipment dealerships and churches on every corner. We follow the GPS to Highway 6. Keep driving east into farmland that stretches to the horizon. "In half a mile, turn right," the GPS says. There's no street sign. Just a gravel road cutting between 2 cornfields. We turn, drive down the gravel road. It's overgrown, barely maintained. Weeds growing in the middle where tires don't reach. And then we see it. A farmhouse. Old. White paint peeling. Front porch sagging. Windows dark. Surrounded by overgrown grass that's waist high. Behind the house, a massive red barn. Faded, rusty roof. But still standing. Beyond that, fields. 80 acres according to the letter. Most of it overgrown with weeds and volunteer corn. Ben stops the truck. We all sit there staring. "This is Grandma and Grandpa's farm?" Hannah asks. My throat is tight. I guess so. We get out. The air smells like earth and growing things and abandonment. The silence is complete except for the wind moving through the grass and the distant sound of a tractor working someone else's field. I walk toward the farmhouse, or what's left of it. The fire damage is obvious even after 21 years. The entire right side of the house is gone, just charred beams and a collapsed roof section open to the sky. What remains of the left side is blackened, windows broken, the front porch partially collapsed. "Careful," Ben says, catching my arm. "That doesn't look stable." He's right. We don't go inside. Can't go inside. There's nothing to go inside to. Just burned walls and danger. I stand there staring at the ruins. This was my parents' house. I lived here for 6 months. And then fire destroyed it. Destroyed them. Destroyed everything. Mom? Jack's voice is small. Were you inside when it happened? No, baby. I was somewhere safe. The fire happened, and someone got me out, and I went to live at the orphanage. But looking at the destruction, I understand now why I have no memories. Why there were no photographs at St. Mary's. Why Sister Kathleen said there was nothing left. Because there wasn't. The fire took everything. Except, apparently, a key in a lockbox. And a barn that was far enough from the house to survive. Ben sits beside me. Doesn't say anything. Just puts his hand on my back. They were going to raise me here, I whisper. This was supposed to be my home. I know. And instead I grew up in an orphanage and they left me a farm I can't afford to keep. We don't know that yet. Let's look around. See what's here. Then we'll figure out what to do. The barn is bigger than it looks from outside. Huge. High ceiling with exposed beams, dirt floor, light streaming through gaps in the walls, and in the center, covered with 20 years of dust and bird droppings, is a tractor. Not just any tractor. A vintage John Deere. 1952. Model A. Green and yellow paint faded but still visible. Big wheels, simple design. Beautiful in the way old machinery can be beautiful. I pull the key from my pocket, the rusty key I've carried for 20 years. There's a keyhole on the tractor's ignition. I climb up onto the seat. The metal is cold even through my jeans. I insert the key. It fits. I don't try to turn it. The tractor hasn't run in decades. But the key fits. This is what it was for. This tractor. This barn. This farm. Mom, look! Hannah's voice from the back of the barn. There's stuff back here. We walk to the back. Behind the tractor, covered with tarps, are pieces of farm equipment. A plow, a harrow, a grain drill, an old corn picker. And on the walls, hanging on hooks, are hand tools. Wrenches, hammers, saws, all vintage. All in surprisingly good condition despite the years. Ben pulls out his phone, starts Googling. Monica, this equipment, some of this is valuable. Like, really valuable. Vintage John Deere tractors in working condition can sell for $20,000 or more. And this other equipment, if it's restored, could be worth thousands. But it's not in working condition. It's been sitting here for 20 years. Yeah, but look. He points to the tractor. It's been stored inside, protected from the weather. The tires are flat, but the body looks solid. Someone who knows tractors could probably get this running. And even if they couldn't, it's worth something as parts or for restoration. I stare at the tractor, at the key in the ignition, at the barn full of equipment my parents left behind. They were farmers, I say slowly. My parents. They worked this land. They bought this equipment. They built something here. Yeah, Ben says softly. They did. We spend the rest of the day exploring. The fields are overgrown, but the land is good. Rich Iowa soil, flat and fertile. The barn is structurally sound despite its age. The house needs work, but the bones are solid. And then, in a small building behind the barn, barely more than a shed, we find the office. It's tiny, just big enough for a desk, a filing cabinet, and some shelves. But it's preserved better than the house. The door was locked tight, the single window intact. Less dust inside. The filing cabinet is full of papers. Ben starts going through them while I look at the walls. There are photographs. Dozens of them, pinned to a corkboard, stuffed into frames on the shelves. A young couple, early 20s, him tall, dark hair, shy smile. Her shorter, blonde, laughing at something off camera. Both wearing work clothes, jeans and flannel shirts, standing in front of this barn with their arms around each other. Another photo. The same couple, A year or two later, her visibly pregnant, standing beside the vintage John Deere tractor. He's sitting on the tractor seat. She's leaning against the big rear wheel, one hand on her belly. Both grinning at the camera. Another. Them holding a baby, a tiny baby with dark hair and a round face, wrapped in a yellow blanket. The woman is looking down at the baby like she's the most precious thing in the world. The man has his arm around both of them, staring at his daughter with wonder. That baby is me. These people are my parents. I've never seen a photograph of them. Not once in 38 years. Sister Kathleen said there weren't any, that everything was destroyed in the fire. But here they are, James and Laura Wright, young and healthy and happy, holding their daughter, building a life on this farm. More photos, them working the fields, planting, harvesting. My mother driving the tractor while my father walks beside it. My father fixing equipment in the barn. My mother in the farmhouse kitchen, flour on her face, laughing. A life, a real life, cut short by an accident. I sit down hard in the desk chair, pick up a frame from the desk. It's a photo of the three of us. Me, maybe 4 months old, chubby and smiling, held between my parents on the front porch of the farmhouse. We look happy. We look like a family. Monica. Ben's voice pulls me back. He's holding papers from the filing cabinet. Legal documents. His expression is strange. What is it? Your parents, they owned the water rights to this property. All 80 acres. And according to this geological survey, there's an aquifer under this land. A significant aquifer that extends beyond just this property. What does that mean? It means there's groundwater here, a substantial amount, and water rights in Iowa, especially with aquifers that can supply irrigation or municipal water. They're valuable. Really valuable. He holds up another paper. There's a letter here, just a few months before your parents died. A company called Heartland Water Solutions. They wanted to buy the water rights. They offered $400,000. I stare at him. $400,000? 38 years ago. Water rights are worth significantly more now. With climate concerns, droughts affecting agriculture, municipal water needs, Monica. This farm isn't worthless. It's the opposite of worthless. I can't process this, can't understand it. He shows me another document, a simple will. Handwritten, notarized. To our daughter Monica Grace Wright, we leave our farm, our equipment, and our hopes for her future. The land will provide. May she build something beautiful here. With all our love, James and Laura Wright. The land will provide. My mother wrote an improvised will as if she sensed that something bad was going to happen to them. I look around the tiny office, at the photographs of my parents working, laughing, living, at the tractor key in my hand, at the farm outside that I thought was nothing but a burden and a bill I couldn't pay. They left me something. Not just a key. Not just a broken-down farm. They left me a future. A real, tangible future worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. And I never knew. For 20 years I carried that key thinking it was worthless. Thinking they'd left me nothing. Thinking I came from nothing. The next 2 weeks are a whirlwind. Ben and I take time off work. Meet with the county attorney. Meet with a local lawyer who specializes in property and agricultural law. Meet with a water resources consultant who comes out to the farm and confirms what the survey indicated. There's a valuable aquifer under the property, and the water rights are still held by the estate, by me. We also meet with representatives from Heartland Water Solutions. They've been monitoring the property for years, waiting. When properties go into tax default, they often swoop in at auction. But now that I've come forward as the heir, they want to negotiate directly. Their current offer, $2.1 million for the aquifer water rights. We'd still own the land, could still farm it, or develop it, or live on it. We'd just be selling the rights to extract and distribute groundwater for agricultural and municipal use. $2.1 million, more money than I've made in my entire 16-year career as a teacher. More money than Ben and I have ever imagined having. Enough to pay off the $47,000 in back taxes and have nearly $2 million left over. "What do you want to do?" Ben asks me one night. We're sitting at our kitchen table in Des Moines, the kids asleep upstairs, the offer letter spread out in front of us alongside the photographs I brought back from the farm office. I'm looking at the picture of my parents with baby me on the farmhouse porch, at their young, hopeful faces, at the life they were trying to build before it was taken from them. "I don't know," I say honestly. "This doesn't feel real." "It's real. Your parents left you something valuable, Monica. They worked that farm. They bought that land. They knew what was under it. They knew about the aquifer, and they left it to you." I think about Sister Kathleen handing me that box, about her apologetic expression. I wish there was more. But there was more. So much more. The orphanage just didn't know. The county didn't know. No one knew, and the property had been sitting there, forgotten, accruing taxes, waiting for me. "I want to sell the water rights," I say slowly. "Pay off the taxes, keep the land, but I don't want to just keep it for us. I want to do something with it, something that would make them proud." "Like what?" "I've been thinking about this since we found the office, since I saw those photographs and read that simple will. 'The land will provide,' they wrote. They wanted me to build something beautiful. I want to create a program," I say, "for foster kids aging out of the system. Kids like me. Give them a place to live while they transition into adulthood. Teach them skills, farming, equipment repair, construction, business, whatever they're interested in. Give them jobs, pay them. Help them save money and build a future. Give them what I never had." Ben is quiet for a moment. Then, "A farm-based transition program." "Yeah. We could renovate the farmhouse, make it livable again, build some cabins or small housing units for the kids, restore the barn and use it as a workshop and training center, hire people to teach, start with maybe 5 or 6 kids and grow from there. The land provides, right? That's what my parents said. So let's use it to provide for kids who have nothing. Kids who get handed a key and told that's all their parents left them." "That's a big project, Monica." "I know, but I'm a teacher. You're a teacher. We know how to work with young people. We know how to help them learn and grow. And this farm, this land my parents left me, it's supposed to mean something. I want it to mean something more than just money in a bank account." Ben reaches across the table, takes my hand, squeezes it. "Then let's do it. Let's build something beautiful, like they wanted." It takes 14 months to make it happen. 14 months of paperwork and permits and renovations and endless meetings. We sell the aquifer rights to Heartland Water Solutions for $2.1 million in July. Pay off the $40,7319 in back taxes. Use the rest to completely rebuild the farmhouse. The fire-damaged structure is torn down and a new house built in its place, honoring the original footprint but modern and safe. Build 4 small cabin-style housing units behind the house. Restore the barn completely. New roof, new doors, electricity, heating, a full workshop inside. We get the vintage John Deere tractor professionally restored. It runs now. Beautiful green and yellow paint, purring engine, everything functional. It becomes the centerpiece of the barn, a symbol of what the program represents. Something broken, made whole. We hire staff. A farm manager, a retired farmer named Tom Benson who teaches agricultural skills and equipment maintenance. A life skills coordinator, a woman named Rita who helps with budgeting, job applications, cooking, all the practical things you need to know to live independently. A counselor who comes twice a week. And me and Ben, part-time, still teaching during the school year but spending summers and weekends at the farm. We call it the Tractor Key Initiative. Because sometimes the things that seem worthless open the doors to everything. And in August of the following year, we welcome our first group of residents, 6 young people, ages 18 to 20, all aging out of Iowa's foster care system, all with nowhere else to go and no clear path forward. They live in the cabins, work on the farm, learn to plant and harvest, learn to fix engines and weld and build, take online classes if they want, get paid a stipend for their work, save money, figure out who they are and what they want, and they stay for up to 2 years. Long enough to build a foundation, long enough to have a real chance. A year has passed now. It's a cool fall afternoon. I'm standing in the barn with one of our residents, a young woman named Keisha. She's 19, been in foster care since she was 4, aged out last year with a garbage bag full of clothes and $312 in savings. No family, no support, no plan. She's been with us for 8 months, learning welding, learning small engine repair, saving money from her stipend, applying to community colleges for next fall. She's looking at the vintage John Deere tractor, the one my parents bought in the 80s, the one the rusty key was for. "Ms. Wright," she says, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why'd you do this? Build this program? You could have just sold everything and kept all the money. You'd be rich. Why spend it on us?" I look at the tractor. At the key hanging from the ignition, the same key I carried for 20 years in my purse, in my pocket, in my nightstand drawer. The key I almost threw away 100 times. Because I grew up in an orphanage, I aged out at 18 just like you. I turned to Keisha. I worked hard to get an education, a job, a family. But I always knew it could be easier if I had some support to start adult life. And I wanted to be this support for people like me and you, not just giving someone money, giving them something that provides, something that lasts, something that helps them build a future. Keisha's eyes are bright. "So you built this for us." "I built this for me too, for the 18-year-old girl I was, for every kid who gets told they're aging out and they need to figure it out on their own. For every person who thinks they have nothing when they actually have everything. They just don't know it yet." We walk out of the barn together into the October sunshine. The fields are harvested, the corn stored in the grain bins. The cabins are full of young people cooking dinner together, laughing, figuring out life. The new farmhouse, rebuilt on the same spot where I spent the first 6 months of my life before everything fell apart, is alive with purpose and possibility. Hannah and Jack are here too, running around with the farm dogs, helping Tom feed the chickens, learning the same lessons I'm trying to teach everyone here, that where you come from doesn't determine where you go, that even broken things can be made whole, that sometimes the smallest gifts, a rusty key, a forgotten farm, a chance someone gives you, can change everything. My parents didn't get to raise me, didn't get to see me grow up, didn't get to watch me become a teacher, a wife, a mother, didn't get to meet their grandchildren or see what became of the baby they held on that farmhouse porch. But they left me something that mattered more than I ever understood. They left me a key, a simple, rusty tractor key that I carried for 20 years thinking it was worthless. And that key unlocked everything. It unlocked a barn full of vintage equipment, a farm with 80 acres of good land, water rights worth millions, photographs that showed me who they were. Young, hopeful, hard-working people who loved their daughter and wanted her to have a future. But more than that, it unlocked a purpose. A way to take what they gave me and multiply it. A way to provide for dozens of young people what I never had. A place to belong, time to figure things out, people who believe in them, guidance, a real chance to build something. "The land will provide," they wrote in their will. They were right. The land provided for me. And now it's providing for young people like Keisha, like Mark, like all the kids who come here thinking they have nothing. So let me ask you, what would you do if you discovered something you thought was worthless was actually priceless? How would you use it? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story reminded you that the best legacies aren't always the ones we expect, hit that subscribe button. Because the world needs more stories about how the smallest things, a key, a chance, a moment of hope, can change everything.